I'm just saying I do believe that there's a lot of societal pressure placed upon women to live up to a degree of like beauty that's not truly attainable, right?
Right, right,
Long
right.
term. And I think we reinforce that as men,
Yeah.
right? Because what's the first thing that men do when we get together? Um, Most men are like, she big as hell, boy. You see that? You know what I'm saying? Or like, bro, on me, I could get her. You know what I'm saying? Or bro, you capping, you can't. She not talking to you. Or you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like there is this sort of prowess or like what we consider like honorable to be able to go and like peacock and strut before women. You know what I'm saying? Or to objectify women as if there's something that we could conquer. What up, everybody? Welcome back to Vulnerable Pod. Man, it's a good day today. Got a special guest, you know what I'm saying, coming straight from the city of Austin. We in a new location. I know y'all probably thrown off, but it still look good, right? Shout out to my wife for getting this together. But want to welcome, a close friend of me, close relative. No, I'm just playing. I'm capping. Let me stop. My boy, Andy. What's good, bro? How you feeling today?
I'm good, man. I'm happy
Yeah.
to be here. Thank you.
Bro, we've been waiting. This been a minute. You know what I'm saying? A
For
long
sure.
time coming.
For sure.
For sure. For sure. How you feeling today, though? What's new in your world? You know what I'm saying? First of all, let's start with where you from, right? Because
Yeah.
the people got to get to know you. Where you from?
So I'm originally from Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
I grew up in San Antonio, though.
Okay.
So it's like really like 50-50, I would
Yeah.
say, because
Okay.
I moved there when I was 11.
Yeah.
But then we would go back a lot, like those first 2 years,
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah.
And then after like 2 years, my mom was like, yeah, we ain't doing that no
Yeah.
more. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So from Houston,
So,
raised in San Antonio.
what part of Houston? Because I know we got people for, like, we talking A-Leaf, like, near Sugarland. You know, I know them is two completely
Yeah.
different directions.
So I was born in Greens Point.
Okay.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
moved to San Antonio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
So North Houston.
Yeah. Okay. Say less. Say less. So shout out my, Houston
Yeah.
familia, wherever y'all at. But San Antonio, first of all, I don't think I met a soul on the planet that said I'm from San Antonio. What's in San Antonio? Because I only know like the Riverwalk, the Alamo. That's it.
Yeah. Wimby. Wimby, though.
Next season, my boy, because the Mavs is going crazy right now.
They are.
We
But
got it.
I think San Antonio is like a hidden gem.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like a lot of people from San Antonio, like
Yeah.
there hasn't been anybody to like hold a head on, like from here.
Okay,
So
yeah.
a lot of people just don't necessarily like say that they from there because nobody's
Yeah.
really like repped it or anything.
Facts.
But
Yeah.
I say there's a lot of things to do in San Antonio. Like
Yeah.
you said, River Rock,
Yeah.
Lock and Terra,
Yeah.
the Spurs are there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you ain't lying though. Now that I, think of it in that regard, it is quite a bit there. I feel like Texas is so huge. Like most people that don't live here, they don't really know. Like
at all.
every city feel like a different state. You know what I'm saying? I'm only familiar with Dallas and Austin, but you really like have gotten to learn the landscape of majority of Texas, right? Austin, San Antonio, Houston. I know you've been in Dallas before.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So school, college, high school, all the things. Did you stay in Texas as a whole? Did you branch out? Like, what did you decide to do growing up?
So yeah, I went to high school in San Antonio
Okay.
at San Antonio Reagan.
Okay.
And then went to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to get far, far away.
Yeah.
I feel like growing up, my parents, they weren't like strict.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say necessarily strict,
Yeah.
but they knew like the possibilities that could be
Okay.
like outside for real. So like I was like, I say sheltered in a way,
Okay.
but I wouldn't say they was strict though. I
Yeah.
just was kind of like confined to like a certain environment.
Okay.
And I really chose Minnesota to go there because
Yeah.
I wanted to prove to them, like,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. How did that work out for you though? Do you think that it was worth taking that
Best
risk?
decision I've ever made.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I remember I got off the plane. That was my
Yeah.
first time seeing snow.
Yeah, because
And
it's cold out there, boy.
But that's what I wanted. I wanted something completely different.
Man.
Yeah. But that taught me, though, like, that really changed my mindset on things because I look at it like how you said, like, man, it's cold out there.
Yeah.
I feel like people be saying that, but it's like, nah, like, I went out there, I had a goal in mind, and that was to grow my faith,
Yeah.
hoop, and graduate. So
Yeah.
I'll be walking to class in the snow, like,
Yeah.
this what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and say, like, it was warm or nothing, but
Yeah.
I was just, like, so focused for
Yeah.
real to where,
Yeah.
like, that wasn't stopping me.
Yeah, no, that's a real different energy. And I feel like a lot of the times when we grow up and, do any sort of like athletic activity, it teaches you a different level of focus. You know what I'm
Definitely.
saying? Because the discipline that goes into it, the commitment, it's like if I don't feel like it today, that don't matter. It's still happening.
Right.
You know? So it seemed like you really applied that to life, which I think is just phenomenal, you know?
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
mean, that's a good way for us to segue. Our topic today is singleness, right? Which I think is a hot topic for so many, right? Like whether you male, female, or whatever you identify as. But I absolutely know that looking for a partner in life, it can be quite a journey, right? So when we talk about singleness, first of all, what does that mean to you? What's your take on it? You know,
Yeah.
and where are you at? Like, are you in a relationship right now? Are you single? You know, yeah. Let's start there.
Yeah. So I'm single. You
Okay.
know,
Hey,
all the ladies watching.
yeah.
Anderson, the fly sober mom. You know me, bro.
Yeah, I already know. Be yourself. Listen, he's free.
For sure.
And you know what I'm saying? He's taking applications.
You know. But no, I am single.
Yeah.
And actually I've been single my whole life. Never had a girlfriend.
Wow.
And growing up, back to what I said about like the confined in a way,
Yeah.
I'm a very like literal person.
Okay.
And so growing up, my mom would be like, right now it's not a time for no girlfriend. You know,
Yeah.
you got to have food, clothing, and shelter for yourself.
Yeah.
And so I'll be in school, girls would come up to me, I'll be like,
Yeah.
nah, mom and dad said nah. But then
Yeah.
as I got older,
Yeah.
I realized what they meant by that.
Yeah.
And so I just started like staying away from it because I realized I didn't have those three things for myself.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I feel like a lot of people get in relationships
Mm-hmm.
like to fill a void
Yeah.
instead of being like whole. And when I say whole, I know like you would never necessarily like be whole, but I consider whole being present in the current moment.
Yeah, for
Knowing
sure.
where you are, that's
For sure.
whole.
For sure.
And so, yeah, I feel like I'm just now getting to that.
Man, that's very grounded of you. I feel like a lot of the times, especially as men, we can be so unrealistic with our expectations, especially when you throw sex into the mix, right? Because majority of men, when they say they single, or even in your case, right, there are some men that's like, well, I never had a girlfriend, but if you ask them, have you had sex before, what they gonna say?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so from that aspect, before we even get into the topic of sex, just because I feel like the two are connected to a degree,
Definitely.
have you decided to stay celibate in your journey? Have you decided to say like, nah, I'm going to experiment with women? Like, what legitimately has been your experience and journey of singleness?
Yeah, so I used to be like premeditated. You know, I used to go into a situation and like it would be like a beautiful girl. And I'm like, oh, I can see this person being like for me.
Yeah.
And then you go on a date or something,
Yeah.
and then like the vibe is different than that.
Yeah.
So I'm a firm believer that women choose, and so if a woman's choose, I'm just going off of that.
Okay, understood. Say less. I definitely think too, another thing with men and singleness is like, I don't think we always take that time to really develop ourselves, right? And so I want to ask you another question, but I have a prelude first. Do you believe in marriage?
Yes,
Okay.
100%.
Bet. So what do you believe are qualifications to say, hey, this person should become my spouse?
That's a great question. For me, it just comes down to an understanding, like of the two people who are in it. So for me, the qualifications is: do I understand where you've been, where you are, and where you're trying to go, and can I fit in that equation? And I go, and that's what like would determine that for me.
Yeah, valid. Because I think on both sides, men and women, we don't always think about like, well, what's the history of this individual?
Oh man, that's
You know what
I
I'm
do.
saying?
I think about it here. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. I want to go
for real.
back to like. So I always tell my friends like the day I get a girl, every step of life I took, like you're gonna experience that. I'm gonna take you here. I want you to walk the places I will walk. I need you to feel the things I did because I need you to get as close to me as possible, like as close to these shoes as possible. For real.
Yeah. You know, it's something in learning to come and show up completely like authentic with someone, vulnerable, if you will, being able to allow someone into the most sacred parts of your life. And I feel like there definitely should be intent with that. So we should be selective of who we decide to get in relationship with. We should be, willing to kind of screen them to a degree, but I also feel like we should have criteria that we both have to live up to. For me, I would say that's a biblical view, right? Where like the Bible is clear, it don't pick no sides. It's like, hey, this is what it is. And I will say a lot of the times people that have grown up in like church settings or families, that identify as Christians, there's not a lot of healthy criteria out there for like how to date properly. The only things you taught is like no sex before marriage
Right.
and not right now.
Right.
And so with that kind of criteria, like how did you get to a mindset of like, I actually need to evaluate these things in my life? Like how what was that experience for you like?
So I moved to Minnesota.
Yeah.
And we said like we'll get back to that question.
Yeah.
Minnesota allowed me to spend time with myself. So I have to tell like a quick story.
Yeah, for sure.
When I first got to Minnesota, mind you, I didn't. One reason I went there too is because I knew like who everyone gets to see today and who even I get to see today. I knew like this was in me, but at that time like it wasn't. So I had to challenge myself to like do that.
Yeah.
So I remember getting dropped off at the dorm, hugged my mom, hugged my dad, dapped up my brother, and they was like, "Well, I guess we'll see you for Thanksgiving." And they like made the left because like at the school you make a left and like you can't see like the cars no more. In that moment, like something clicked in my head. I'm like, man, I'm out here, like by myself. I went, knocked on everybody door in the hallway.
Wow.
Said, I'm Anderson. This is what I'm into. Blah blah blah. If y'all like are doing those things, like let me know. Here go my number. I stay right here. Everything. So that just allowed me to get comfortable, like with myself. And when I say comfortable with myself, comfortable enough to like learn myself and see like where I need to grow and like things like that. And so I just spent time with myself. Like I feel like, how they say 10,000 hours to master something? I really believe I spent 10,000 hours with myself.
Man, that's a dope perspective.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't mean to pause, but that's definitely, I'm having a moment where I'm like, man, that's valid, right? Because I think a lot of the times, just as humans, the biggest fear that most people have is the fear of being alone. And so if you can't master the art of being alone with yourself, you're definitely not going to be able to be in a relationship with someone else.
Yeah.
Right? And more importantly, I don't think it teaches you how to truly love someone.
Right.
Right? I think when we think about love, we think about it from such a feeling-based perspective. Right? I personally, now being married and on the other side of it, have learned that love is absolutely not feelings. I think it's accompanied by feelings. But I think love is action-driven. So, for example, when a mother has a child and that baby is crying at 3 in the morning, you don't feel like getting up, but you get up.
Right.
Because they need you. They're dependent on you. You have to meet their needs. Regardless if you're interested in doing it or not, you still do that. And that's what love is. Especially when you sign up for marriage, because there are going to be days where you and your spouse we not seeing eye to eye. Not today. You know what I'm saying? And do I stop choosing to prioritize you? Do I stop choosing to show up and become, intentional in every way that I prove to you I'm committed to dying to myself in order to put you first?
100%.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, if I can't be genuine with myself,
I can't do that to you.
I can't possibly do that with you.
So back to the criteria. I'm happy you said that because I get one criteria for me is 3 things, I guess. First is love God.
Yeah.
Love yourself.
Yeah.
Then love me.
Yeah.
Because if it's in that order,
man,
I don't really have much to worry about.
Yeah, for real. I hope y'all listening, ladies. You know what I'm saying? My boy
this
ready.
Real game.
My boy ready. But I think that's valid, bro, because even when you decide, okay, cool, this person is a good candidate, I want to go on a date with them. What are you looking for on a date? Because for me, when I was going on dates, I didn't have no criteria. I ain't gonna hold you. My wife and I, we laugh about this now, but like, I was really just full of myself. I definitely know that I'm responsible for, setting false expectations for women and finding pleasure in doing that. And I think that's something that a lot of men cannot live up to admit. I definitely know I lied to women, understanding that I had an ulterior motive, right? And so I feel like people go on dates just for kind of the allure of it and like how enticing it feels. Ooh, could I get this person to really like me? Oh, somebody said this person was cute. Or you looking for the validation of others that, kind of fuels you to choose that person instead of
Right.
it just being legitimate, you know? So have you found yourself in situations like that? And if so, if you haven't, have you dealt with people like that? And how did you navigate them situations?
Yeah, so guess when I go like on a date or find somebody like attractive,
Yeah.
um, I'm really not that big on like looks and stuff like that. Like I mean I am,
Yeah.
but the reason I say I'm not is because I know like 10 years, 15 years we going to look different.
Yeah.
But like your heart and everything, that's what's like really matters. So the first
Right.
thing I try to do is like I just want to see like where your head at, cuz
Yeah.
I tell you like I wouldn't even came up to you if I didn't think
Yeah.
you look good, but
Yeah.
like, like who are you? Like yeah, who are you? That's what I
Yeah.
want to know.
Yeah. That's dope, bro. I feel like a lot of men, we can't admit that. You know what I'm saying? I think we're not taught to. When we look at the criteria for what men are taught when it comes to choosing women, um, I think there's a lot of expectation we put on ourselves, and I think that society just doesn't communicate. Hey, you can pick a person for what's in them,
Right.
because especially the amount of pressure that's on women nowadays to, like, look at in the last 5 years, it's so common to do like lip filling, lip injections, right? BBLs, BBL drizzy. Uh, BBLs are like many other things to enhance your body, right? When at the end of the day, and it's not for me to decide if someone should or shouldn't do those things. I'm just saying I do believe that there's a lot of societal pressure placed upon women to live up to a degree of like beauty that's not truly attainable, right?
Right, right,
Long
right.
term. And I think we reinforce that as men,
Yeah.
right? Because what's the first thing that men do when we get together? Um, Most men are like, she thick as hell, boy. You see that? You know what I'm saying? Or like, bro, on me, I could get her. You know what I'm saying? Or bro, you capping, you can't. She not talking to you. Or you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like there is this sort of prowess or like what we consider like honorable to be able to go and like peacock and strut before women. You know what I'm saying? Or to objectify women as if there's something that we could conquer, right? And so with that, I feel like it does really influence the dating scene. Something I've consistently heard, bro, the past few years is like, hey, it's tough out here. And I'm so far removed from that being married, although I've not been married forever.
Right.
I'm going into my 5th year of marriage,
Right.
right?
Congrats.
Yeah, on
For
me.
real.
Yeah, appreciate that, brother. For real. That's big. Marriage is a beautiful thing. It takes a lot of work, but um, you know, this year we're making it to our 5th year, but we dated for a year, and then we were engaged for a year, and then we got married, right? And so that means it's 2 years of really trying to get to know the ins and outs of this individual and how you communicate with them. And we didn't even plan on dating. You know what I'm saying? We just met casually
Right.
um, at a comedy show. And it's like when I
Man.
start to think about all the ways that I was told to pursue women before,
Right.
it was strictly off the physical. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So I think that's a valid point. How do you find time to check and make sure women that you talking to like aren't choosing you based off of like superficial things, shallow things?
Making sure I'm in the right elements. What I mean by that is you found your
Wow.
wife. You found your wife at a comedy show,
Yeah.
but the first time I ever seen you and
Yeah.
met you, you
Yeah.
was doing what?
Yeah.
Comedy.
Yeah.
You
I
feel
mean,
me?
yeah. Yeah.
So I feel
Yeah.
like just making
Yeah.
sure you in the right spot is
Yeah.
already doing it because like you where you supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's legit. I didn't even think about that. Yep. And I feel like that's something that we should encourage more people to do.
Definitely.
Because when we think about being single, all the places I went to, I was in the club,
Right.
I was at the bars.
And they ain't
You know what I'm
done.
saying? I was at parties.
And I'm learning that.
For real, they not there.
Yeah.
And if you do meet something there that looks You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Attractive or appealing. At the end of the day, like what brought you here?
Exactly. That's
What's
what
in
I'm
your
saying.
heart?
Somebody has something
Yeah.
else. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, when you are talking to a woman, what are the kinds of questions you ask her to figure out where she is mentally?
So to decompress that,
Yeah.
where am I having like this conversation? Is this like an in person? Is this like over the
Mm.
text? Because I say
Good
that
question.
because if I'm meeting them, like let's say in your case, if I meet at a comedy show, like
Yeah.
we already have like a common interest. So like where am
Right.
I?
Yeah.
Yeah, where am I at in
Yeah,
this?
for sure. Let's just set it up for like a, everyday interaction. You out doing you.
Okay.
Let's say you at the domain,
Okay.
right? So for those of y'all that don't live in Austin, that's an outdoor mall. Say you there, you walk by, you see something that pique your interest, and you
Mhm.
hold on, let me spin about real quick.
Mhm.
Like, what things in that 60-second interaction,
Right.
right, would captivate your attention authentically that wouldn't just be shallow or based on like the jitters, right? Because those moments definitely set this expectation in our mind of like,
Right.
ooh, what this could be. You know what I mean? So yeah,
So I'll probably say if we're in the domain, I'll
mm-hmm.
say, excuse me, ma'am, let me style you quick.
Okay. Say less.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I
And
bet.
then from there, because in a way, I'm already like putting them in my world,
Mm-hmm.
because I
Yeah,
like fashion.
yeah,
Um, I like fashion. I like being outside. I just like being around like good vibes and good energy.
yeah,
So like I'm pretty much like bringing them to my world, and then
yeah.
from there, let's say like we leave there, and then I'll just say like, so what you have going on this week,
Mm-hmm.
things like that,
Yeah,
and like yeah, from there
yeah.
I'll be able to kind of dissect.
Okay. No, that's valid. I feel like, most of the time, even when you meet someone out in public, in that moment, it could just be so fixated on like I have to get something from them, So I think that that's dope that you saying you trying to bring the conversation from an aspect of like what continues after this. You know what I mean? Like, hey, what's happening in your world? I wrote something down, and one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, what have you done ahead of time to prepare for your wife?
Man, think
Mm.
for real.
Yeah,
If there's something that is how I say it, like okay, we'll just do like let's say it's like a lonely night or
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. Instead of like calling somebody or something, like
yeah.
I'm sleeping with my Bible.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
You feel
Break that
me?
down. Break that down.
You know, yeah. I mean, like if you call somebody over and
Yeah,
like they staying with you,
yeah.
that's like two lost souls in the moment. Like y'all not supposed to be together. Like
Right.
that could lead to your life not being your destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And life and destiny is two different things.
Right.
And I'm trying to reach like destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Like what am I really supposed to be here
Yeah.
for, and who am I really supposed to be here with? So yeah, it's like it's
Yeah.
just kind of like me sleeping with God.
Yeah.
Like I'm just
Yeah.
like thank you God.
Yeah.
Let me chill.
I think that's for sure noble of you because most people are not being that intentional to say like I don't even want to put myself in a situation where we could compromise something that we're supposed to leave sacred in the context of marriage, right? Because um, the average man I think is gonna be cool with like a girl coming over and staying the night or him going to her crib and staying there. So I think what you said is key is like in order for preparation for my wife, I do have to think.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like most people, even if you're not trying to get married, right? Let's not assume the whole. I believe in marriage and I advocate for it, but I understand not everybody is like at the point where they want to get married. They might just be looking for just somebody to date.
Right.
And I feel like criteria that I think is very reasonable,
Mm-hmm.
based upon the nature of our conversation. Like, number one is, hey, is our common interest our common faith even aligned, right? Because if you believe something completely different than I, that's already going to filter through how we communicate. We're going to have different perspectives,
Different foundations.
different foundations. So I do think that it's a good idea to connect with people that have come from similar faiths or are willing to learn more and accept the things that you presented to them about your faith because they value it for themselves, not to please you. Because if they do it just for you, it's not going to be sustainable, right?
Right.
And but anyways, not to get too off kilter, uh, I feel like a lot of men don't display discipline. How do you maintain a level of discipline that keeps you grounded enough to be like, I'm not gonna just give myself to any woman.
Right. I got to keep myself on a schedule.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
pretty much that
Yeah.
simple, you know.
Yeah.
Like wake up, go to the weight room,
Yeah.
go to work, make sure I'm eating right, keep myself just occupied,
Wow.
whatever schedule that may
Wow.
be. And one thing that I do too, because so when I was in Minnesota, I played basketball there,
Yeah.
and I just looked at it like I schedule my life still to like basketball, like almost to where I feel like discipline. One reason people aren't disciplined is because there's nothing to be like, there's no end goal. So I make sure that there's like an end goal. So like prime example, like today, right, we had this set up for a while,
Yeah.
to where I would set up my schedule to lead, like my life is leading up to this day,
Yeah.
and I'll take maybe like a week break or something, and then the
Yeah.
next event, mark that down, and I build my schedule to that event, and I just keep doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's legit, bro. That's such a dope point because I feel like people don't even. That's applicable for men and women, right? Like, how is your day structured? If you always got time to talk to me,
Right.
what is going on with you? You know what I'm saying? What are you doing? And that's legit because when I think about even when me and my wife was dating, she was at work, I was at work. We would talk to each other, after we got done with our responsibilities for the day. And I think that's such a key point to bring up because I think the landscape of singleness nowadays, it looks different,
Yeah.
you
you
know?
do.
And so I think that also sets the pool of people apart. Like you said, where am I finding this individual at, right? Because you can meet people anywhere, but if I met you at a day party brunch, you know what I'm saying, I still want to know like what your day to day looks like. So that's dope. How do you communicate that to a woman, right? Of like, hey, this is what my life looks like, right?
Right.
So yeah.
So I'm learning that,
Mhm.
how to communicate that,
Okay.
because I feel like just like off of appearance and
Yeah.
things like that, and
Yeah.
then even like my voice and
Yeah.
stuff, like just like a little different things like
Yeah.
that. So I'm learning how to communicate that and kind of how I say it, like in a way, like put my foot down,
Yeah.
saying like this is how I'm rocking,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm learning.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Boundaries are good, bro. And I definitely feel like a lot of the times people don't experience successful relationships because they don't have boundaries for themselves to begin with.
Yeah.
But what I already just heard you communicate, circling back to being disciplined and having structure for your day, that's giving yourself boundaries. I think any human on this planet that doesn't give themselves boundaries, we will like self destruct,
Most definitely.
you know? And when I've looked at the times in my life where I've made the craziest decisions, I had no boundaries in place, and all of the times in my life where I was just experiencing kind of this free for all in my singleness, and I wasn't satisfied, or I got to a place to where I was like, man, I'm running into the same issues. My wake up call, and I said this on another episode of Vulnerable, is like I literally remember saying to myself, you don't have to sleep with everybody, bro. It was a crazy statement, but I had to vocalize that to myself. And the crazy thing about it, bro, is when I said that and I started to move in the direction where I was like, I'm not finna just keep doing this. The people around me started to criticize me. I remember one of my homies asking me, "You gay, bro?" And I was like, first of all, that's if someone was living life in the opposite manner of you, that's not comforting.
Right.
Second of all, how is me just having a little bit of discipline or just saying I'm not gonna sleep with everybody,
Right.
communicating this to you? I thought it was extreme. And we had a successful talk about it. I was honest with him in the sense of like, bro, you tweaking. But it just showed me that I was around people that didn't even have standards for themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's big, bro. Like, you know, what would you attribute a lot of your awareness of upholding standards for yourself back to your parents and your upbringing, or like, what
For
would you say?
sure.
Yeah.
I say parents and upbringing, but them also too putting me in situations to see like what they saying, they not tripping. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. And they were like with my personality and stuff too, like I'm just like a very like out there, just be like in different groups and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
Yeah.
I'll say I do have like the privilege
Yeah.
to being able to see things.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
to be able to see
Yeah,
things.
definitely you intuitive for sure. You an observer. And I think what I love about your personality is, um, you know, I see, and I think I heard you say this before, but like, you don't mind being underestimated.
Yeah,
And I
nah.
think that's something that most people, especially men, we have an issue with, right?
Right.
Because it stems from pride, where it's like, no, we want to be recognized, we want to be known, we want to be respected. But you just like, dog, look, I'm here. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You'll get to know me when you talk to me. So that's super helpful.
To go in that too though,
Yeah.
I feel like the people that I look up to, like all the greats and stuff,
Yeah.
um, in my opinion, when people like succeed, we're not celebrating their success because of like the W and stuff.
Right.
It's like the discipline and things like that. Like they put themselves in a position to be great. Like, and I
Yeah.
feel like every human has that wherewithal, like deep down, like they know like, and that person really working for real or
Yeah.
doing what they supposed to be doing.
Yeah. That's big, bro. I think that that's something you do got to continue, because even as a husband, like, I was just talking to one of my boys about this the other day. There's a level of discipline you still have to maintain. Like, every morning that I get up and I get ready for work, um, I don't leave the house without sitting and studying my word.
Okay.
Because for me, I need to meet God at the beginning of my day. I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna respond, and I usually wake up with like, a good sense of like I'm happy for the day, but also I don't know everything. You know what I'm saying? So this is something that I need to maintain, and then another thing too for me that is equally as important is working out, like, and staying intentional with that. For me, I'm like, I get excited when I work out. And, and Yodi will tell you, he said he called me crazy last time I took him to the gym, but
Right.
I was just, I'm listen,
You in your
bro.
space. That's your element.
Exactly. And for
Yeah.
me, in my mind, which I feel like is kind of weird, but I think it's still relatable. I get excited about that level of discipline because I'm like, I can do this in other areas of my life.
Mm.
And so when I'm on my, you know, fifth set, when I really should have only did four, I'm trying to push myself to like, no, you can do this.
Right.
And then I feel like the satisfaction of it comes from like, okay, I enjoy doing this thing and I don't have to commit my time to everything.
Mm-hmm.
This is important. This is a priority.
Right.
And I feel like that's what has really amplified certain aspects of how I'm thinking. To your point, in singleness, how satisfied are people with being single? Because when we listen to Paul talk about singleness, he says, don't even get married. That's what he said. And people like blow past that in the Bible. That's what he says. He says, don't get married because marriage is full of trials and problems. But he doesn't say it from the aspect of like, don't do this. This is a bad thing. He's saying, hey, I know humans. Humans have emotions and opinions, and they will until the day they die.
Right.
And if you want to save yourself from constant concern about someone else's opinions above yours, then don't do this thing. But if you must, it's a beautiful thing, and it can work out well. But it's like a mystery to some. You know what I'm saying? This is one of those things where it's almost like telling yourself, I'm about to sign up to go and jump out of a plane every day. I just I want to skydive every day for the rest of my life. People are like, why would you do that? But then at some point they look up and they're like, man, that person is committed to this thing.
Right.
Even though it looks wild, they're committed to doing this. And so I feel like in singleness, that's how committed we have to be to figuring out like, what's the landscape of my life? Where do I want to go? And how am I preparing even for a partner before they come into my life?
And so that's where I'm trying to stay present, because I feel like the more you stay present, the more you keep from rushing. You know, one thing I try to remind myself
Wow.
is, if God wanted me to be rushing, He would have dropped me off in Mascot. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, man, for sure. They'll catch it later. Y'all ain't heard my boy.
Yeah. So again, if God wanted me
Yeah.
to be rushing, He would have dropped me off in Mascot.
You know?
For real.
Yeah, we finna go up. Y'all ain't catch it. That's cool. We'll drop it in the comments below.
Right.
But no, that's big, man. And I feel like that's the one thing that we work on teaching children from the beginning. When kids are getting older, slow down. Don't run here.
Right.
Don't go there. Don't
Right.
da-da-da. We have to teach them, like, hey, life, it's not, everything isn't immediate or urgent. But we somehow condition ourselves to think that it is.
Right.
And then we hone that in for a little bit when we're in the house with our parents, because we have people disciplining us. But then you get to yourself and you left to your own demise. You know, when I went to college, my first day on campus, I realized, like, oh, I'm here with a completely different goal. And to your point, you know, I was super excited to meet people in college because I just assume everyone here is like-minded. And we weren't too far away from each other's campuses. I'm at Augsburg,
Okay.
you know, so I know Northwestern is like, 30 minutes from us?
Yeah.
But
Two
What-
different experiences.
two different experiences for sure. But when I was on campus, I remember my first year. I think I was even telling Yodi this recently. I went there with a mindset of like, I have to succeed. There is no other option. I have to succeed. And then I started to see all these people my age that's kind of just like, why are you so serious? You know, I didn't date nobody my first year of college. For me, that was big because I had come from, I wasn't doing that in high school. Let's
Right.
just say that. And Outside. And when I got to college, I really understood, like, okay, I have things to prioritize. And that was probably my most productive year of college. Bro, that whole year that I didn't date no one, I had an internship with the governor.
Okay.
So I was working on his legal counsel. I was student body president. I was, not the president, my bad. I was on the student body senate. My first year, I was first semester senator, and then after that became the treasurer. But like those were not things that I was thinking about. Not in, you know what I'm saying? Not in high school. Like that was lame to me in high school. But in college, I'm like, I want to do something impactful. I had also like started a group, right? I was traveling around and putting events on. So that level of focus only came because my time was to myself and it was purposed, you know. But the next couple of years, I gradually got away from that because I got in a relationship. You know, I made this person my idol, which I think a lot of people, we don't realize we're doing that. And I don't mean that in a shady way.
Right.
I mean that to say anything that we allow to consume all of our attention is an idol. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like when people look at singleness, they idolize it and don't even realize it because it's from a source of I'm depleted. You know what I'm saying? I don't have this thing. I want to experience this. And then we don't realize, like, all we're doing is to tie back to this issue, this sense of fulfillment that really can't even come from this individual. Because when you get with them, they still have to be whole in who they are, you know? And I always tell people, like, marriage is a mirror. So ultimately, if you become one with this person, when you stand in the mirror, you should see some qualities that you're familiar with.
100%.
Right? But that's not it for a lot of people, bro.
Right.
You know, so leading me to my next question, man, the convo been fluid today. Yeah. How honest are you when it comes to mistakes?
I like to say I'm very honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to say I'm very honest.
Yeah.
I feel like, so my whole goal in life is I want to be a grown man. That's my goal. And I
Wow.
feel like accountability is number one.
Yeah.
You know, so even if a situation happens, the first thing I do is like, let me see where I went
Yeah.
wrong, and I address that.
Yeah.
You know, because I can, like in situations, I can just control myself.
Yep.
So yeah, I like to say that. But I will say, that's like a newer development. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? I don't want to sit here and say I've
Yeah.
been on this like the
Yeah.
whole time, you
Yeah.
know. But I'll say I realized that, mm, say 2020, 2021.
Okay. Yeah. And the reason I asked that is because I feel like, you know, even in your singleness, you gotta be honest about your mistakes with yourself. You know, even before you meet someone, because essentially you come into a level of accountability with this individual at some point. So that's definitely I like that response. Um, how have you actually healed from past partners? And I know you say you never had a girlfriend, but I'm assuming that there has been like a romantic interest.
Definitely. I feel like anybody you spend time with is a relationship of some sort. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's where people go wrong. Like just because you
Yeah.
don't put a label on something doesn't
Yeah.
mean you wasn't with that person.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Because
Yeah.
because somebody's year with somebody and somebody's 2 weeks, depending on the end outcome of it, could be the same experience.
Yeah. Facts.
That's all.
Yeah, y'all ain't catching that. But that's so real because some people are so emotionally vulnerable that they will dump all they have into that situation in 2 weeks. They can feel like they love someone. That's neither here nor there. I ain't gonna get into
Yeah.
that, but I definitely understand what you're saying.
So one thing I try to do is make sure that like in that moment I'm present enough
Yeah.
to honor you and value you in that time.
Yeah.
And let it be, because how
Okay.
you said you hear a lot of people saying like, man, the dating scene's tough out here.
Yeah.
Man, it's supposed to be tough out here. There's only
Yeah.
one person that's meant for you. It ain't gonna be easy.
Yeah.
You know, you just gotta
Yeah.
go in. Like
Yeah.
some things you just gotta take on the chin. I feel like
Yeah.
some L's are harder than other L's to take.
Yeah.
But it must be taken if you gonna find like the right person.
Yeah. Is y'all listening? That's what I'm I know they going crazy right now. Like I know this is resonating with some people, but I definitely
Real Peter.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? What is love to you?
Oh man. Love to me is the same loyalty, respect, the same loyalty and respect that I give to myself, I'm giving to you. That's love to me.
Major. Yeah, I think that's
And that's a criteria for me too.
yeah.
Like for me to take the next step, if I start feeling like the same love and loyalty and respect I give to myself, I want to give to you. And once I start feeling that, I'm like, okay, let me tighten up really like
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's real because even the Bible talks about like would a man and I'm paraphrasing here, but basically it tells you to love your wife as you love yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the problem is a lot of us don't have a healthy relation with ourselves. We don't even realize we don't love ourselves well. So you get into a relationship with somebody, and whether that be you romantic or a love interest, and you're not treating them well, you know, how open are you to receiving correction from your partner?
Super open. If the things that you're telling me, you also preaching. Yeah. You know, we can't do no hypocritical love.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that's big. I mean, what I've learned is I agree with that statement. I've also learned that I have blind spots.
Yeah, put me on.
You know what I'm saying? And I've learned that there's going to be times where my emotions are so heightened that what you're telling me is attacking, it feels attacking in that moment because it's chipping away at an insecurity that I don't recognize. And so there's been times where I've pushed away my wife's valid advice because I didn't feel like she was living up to what I determined she needed to live up to in order for me to receive that. And even as I'm explaining that, you can hear how prideful that is.
Right.
You know, but I think one thing that, and there's stats on this, bro. My numbers might be slightly off, but I think it says something around like 98% of women they allow their partners to influence them.
100%.
The percentages for men, low. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I think it was like around 20% or something, of men that are willing to be influenced by women. And I think a lot of that comes from just a common misconception that women are so emotionally driven. I think that women are more expressive of their emotions. I think we just as emotional as women.
Hmm.
I definitely have seen it and come to know that about men. I think women are just more kind of on the table of like, hey, you hurt my feelings about
Right.
this. And a man, what we do a lot of the times is we'll stuff. So you piss me off, and instead of letting you know in that moment, I'm just, all right, cool, heard. You know what I'm saying? And it's a very dismissive way. It's arrogant, right? It's demeaning. And so, circling back to what you were saying, I agree with that. However, I would say, um, still be open to just hearing, right? And the best advice that I could give a man is if a woman tells you something that you feel like you don't necessarily agree with, just simply ask her, hey, help me understand. Help me understand why you think that. It'll really help.
And with that too,
Yeah.
with the like the pride
Yeah.
and like the ego and stuff,
Yeah.
I think that comes with like a certain level of how I say it, like I don't know how I want to say it, so I'm just saying it like this.
Yeah.
One thing I'm doing now is I'm only trying to talk to women who I want to be man for.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's big. Because we don't think about that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That goes back to what we said earlier. Is like, okay, um, I see you as a candidate. So I actually want to step up to this plate.
Well,
You know? Yeah.
yeah. And I feel like that's when like the pride and stuff come in
Yeah.
because like they might be challenging you from what you first started with
Yep.
not being like the current situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Facts, definitely. And one thing I'll tell you is women are going to be great at holding you accountable.
Oh yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
and when I say women, I mean
For
a
sure.
solid woman. You know, there's some women out here like definitely don't want to put this whole episode on men. I'm a male, so obviously I'm going to speak from a primarily male perspective. But I will say that there are definitely some women out here who have compromised their standards.
Right.
And I even now the landscape, dog, like the way that I have seen the attitudes of women shifting,
Right.
and I think it's just consistent among men and women. It's like everybody a player.
But this goes back to what you said about the accountability. So
Yeah.
I gotta say here and say
Yeah.
that as a man, I gotta speak for all men. You know, that's because of us. You know, women getting around some dudes who
Yeah.
not keeping it manly with them
Yeah.
and is messing up,
Yeah.
their brain and stuff. So then they
Yeah.
go to the next person, it's gonna automatically we call it player, but it's
Yeah.
keeping them a force field like
Right.
up. That's what really like player is in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Or as far as like the world see it, that's not what it
Yeah.
really is, but
Yeah.
that's how some people can
Yeah.
what's the word I'm looking for? Like interpret it.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
that's valid, bro. And I, first of all, definitely, I honor what you're saying, bro. I think that that's major to even take that on and be honest with women and let them know, like, hey, we at the end of the day, a lot of these attitudes we take responsibility for because we've harmed, the sincerity of women
For sure.
and really violated that trust, that genuine care, that
Because I think
nurturing
that's our
spirit.
responsibility
Yeah.
to like take care. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Provide, like
Yes, bro.
shelter, all that. Like that's
Yes.
very deep.
Yes, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not lying. I said this again on another episode. Men are supposed to be gentle. We're
Yeah.
supposed to be kind. Why would, when you look at a loving father, right? Let's just look at a father with his little girl. Man, you see it anywhere on Instagram, TikTok, wherever you look at, when it's daddies and daughters, you can instantly see that compassion they have, right? When you dealing with a woman, she's someone's daughter.
Yeah.
If you have, and even if you don't have a daughter, right? I feel like most people have siblings. Even if you have a sister, you care for her, you're kind to her, you might be frustrated, but you still deal with her in a different way. And even if neither one of those scenarios apply to you, I would just say if a father can be aware that he needs to be compassionate, kind, and gentle with his daughter, why would that not translate into how you treat a woman?
Mm-hmm.
And if they possess the capability to not, bro, some of the toughest men on this planet are so sweet with their daughter.
Oh yeah,
You
for
know what I'm
sure.
saying? And so that means that those qualities and capabilities are already inside of you,
Mm-hmm.
but you just neglecting tapping into it. You know, and it has caused a lot of women to become guarded and to feel like I can't trust a man. You know, men aren't accountable. You know what I'm saying? The list goes on. And to your point, we definitely have done that. I think it's sad, you know, to see that we have pushed women to such a degree of devaluing them that in a lot of ways we've dismissed, you know, beautiful qualities about them. I don't want my wife to feel like she got to be just as tough as me.
Yeah, nah.
You know what I'm saying? But also, it's not bad for a woman to be assertive, right? A woman asserting her opinion, being clear, being intentional is a healthy thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something that men should be comfortable with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because men be, ain't no woman finna talk to me such and such. Nah, bro. You speak your mind,
Right.
and she can also speak her mind because y'all are equals. You know, and I think men also feel like we only expect a woman to submit to us, but we don't even know what submission is.
Mm.
You know, submission is just power under control, right? Where you have the same authority and power that I do, but in this moment, I'm considering what you're saying enough that I don't have to dominate you.
Right. You giving her your discipline.
Exactly. Boy, say that one more time. Yes, sir.
You giving her your discipline.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
real. For real. Man,
I'm
that's
gonna
been
use
dope.
that. I'm gonna go up to a girl and
Yeah,
say that.
I
Let me
already
give you my
know.
discipline.
I hope it translates the same way.
Let me give you my discipline.
I hope it translates the same way. She might think you saying something else.
Oh, hey.
But
I didn't even think about that.
you know what I'm saying? That sound real close.
Yeah. That's crazy.
But okay, you know, this has been a dope conversation thus far. You know, we could go on this subject all day. I would say my last couple questions for you would be one, um, how have you had any heartbreak before? Have you experienced that?
For sure, yes.
How did you recover from that, and did your perspective on women change?
Women.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't think my perspective on women changed.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is like, I use one incident, right?
Yeah.
I got done bad.
Yeah.
I got done bad.
Yeah.
But I could never sit here and say like, talk down on that person or anything, because there was one point in time where like I was okay with that person being like the mother of my kid. You know what I'm saying? So I could never do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel you.
Even if
That's
that was
for
in the
sure.
past, I gotta like, you know, I can't do that. There was one time I was cool with this being forever.
Yeah.
So
That's mature, bro. I feel like a lot of people, especially when you think of like, you know, people that have had children and are no longer together, it's easy for them to badmouth each other. But at one point, this person was worthy enough for you. Mm-hmm. So why are you just downing them all the time? You know, what does that say about how hurt or unhealed you are in that situation? So that's major. And I asked that question to say like, do you feel like due to heartbreak that has impacted your view of women or a view of relationship in a negative way? But I feel like you just answered that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say nah, because the one for you is for you, you know. So I'll just say I gotta. I will say where like what the heartbreak has taught me is to get back on my schedule.
Yeah.
Because when I look at that, those were the times where I got off of what I was on. Yeah. So I say like just stay what I'm on and stick to like the discipline, stick to my discipline.
How necessary is compromise in a relationship?
Compromise. I'll say super, like very necessary. Yeah. But and this is where, you know, I'm like a literal person. So when I hear compromise, you have to, how I say, like, I just think like some ground rules got to be done at the beginning, so you know what you compromising for. Like I had a
Yeah.
conversation with my friend, and it was so
Yes.
real. Plans can only change if there was a plan to begin with.
Mm.
So like
Yeah.
yeah, we just have to have a plan. So I'll say when it comes to compromising, both like sitting down, saying like our pieces and stuff, and seeing there where the compromise can happen.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. What are we compromising? Right? Are you asking me to compromise my integrity? No, that's not
Right,
gonna
that ain't
happen,
happening.
right? You know, are you asking me to compromise on something because you don't want to step up to the plate and display these behaviors that are healthy for this relationship?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's a that's a great point. Because sometimes we can think someone needs to compromise, but we lack maturity in that area. So you don't like how this person is talking to you, but the things they are saying is valid. So is it that you don't like their tone or you don't like
Right.
the message?
Exactly.
Right? What's the compromise got to be? Hey, I'm okay with hearing these things. Could you speak to me in a more respectful manner? So, okay, major. What's something in this season of your life that you are aware of that you need to be more vulnerable with, and how are you doing that?
Yeah. So I'll say not being like perfect, because I will say that is where the core of my foundation got a little misconstrued.
Yeah,
Because when it comes to providing food, clothing, shelter for yourself, like just like the basic fundamentals of it,
yeah,
that's a that's an ongoing that's an ongoing thing. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? So like you would never just necessarily be like 100% for like somebody to like come in for
yeah,
real. So just being more present with like telling them exactly like where I'm at, being like honest from the beginning, like giving. So one thing I say I do is I give like my respect and stuff like first,
yeah,
first, because I want you to be like comfortable.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah.
No, that's dope, bro. Um, I would say something that I'm trying to be more aware of is being consistent um, in all areas of my life. And that's a real easy statement to make. It takes a lot of work. So, for example, I was giving you the scenarios earlier of like, I wake up, I try to read my word, then I'll go ahead, take care of everything else for the day, try not to miss working out. Um, but also, like, those are very basic things that serve me at the end of the day, right? And so, in every area of my life, how am I even being conscious of the needs and you know, concerns of my wife in ways even outside of her presence, not just when I'm around her, right? And then how am I thinking about the things that I'm trying to build, like vulnerable, right? And the next book I'm working on, right? And music and those kinds of things. How am I setting my life up in a way to maintain that discipline, consistency, and structure? Um, and like, am I being relentless in that? Because I know how I can be. Sometimes we can be situationally disciplined, but I want that to be the reality for my day-to-day structure, so that's something I'm aiming to do, and I'm inviting others into that process to hold me accountable, because those are grand statements to make, uh, you know that sounds so cool and so inspiring, but if you the only one auditing yourself on that, then that's not realistic, because no matter how disciplined we are, we still can be very lenient with ourselves,
Definitely.
you know so yeah, bro. Man, this was a dope convo. Appreciate y'all stopping by Vulnerable today. Definitely, it's not gonna be the first convo we have with Andy. This was fire, bro. Appreciate you, man, and
Thank
just
you.
your honesty. Yeah, this was love, bro.
Thank you. For
For sure.
real.